Hi, how you doing? My name's Devin. I will formally introduce myself and tell you a little bit about myself here in a couple of minutes, but before I do, I just wanted to let you know that this process that I'm about to outline for you, I just kind of stumbled upon it accidentally when I was writing a different how-to course for photography. And what I ended up doing was this exact process, but very, very loosely. And when I got to the end of what I thought was going to be my course, I started trying to film everything and put it all together, and I just realized I was umming and ahhing a lot, and I wasn't really able to fully articulate everything I wanted to say. So I decided I had to write a script for it. And after writing the script for the presentation I had created, I just slowly watched this book just kind of come to be. And when I finally proofread everything, I realized, I really have something on my hands here, so why don't I just kind of keep this on the back burner as an idea. And then I got invited to do a presentation on this after I was trying to explain it to somebody else, so it basically forced me to be accountable and make sure that this process actually works. So the great thing about it is I actually took everything that I'm trying to teach you and I tested it out, and I wrote a book for this that I want to give away for free a little bit later. Just stick around and watch the full presentation. I'll give you the details on how to do that, but just so you know, I tested everything here before I presented it to you guys, and I'm super excited to actually run you through the whole process so you really get an idea of how keen this is and how well it actually works.
Before we actually get to any of the writing and the mechanics, I want to be able to help you break down any ideas that you may have or your core subject, because a lot of people sometimes struggle with what exactly to write about. So for example, let's say we wanted to write about hockey. Well, there's so many different parts of hockey that before you know it, you could have a 12-book series. So it's really important to break things down and focus on what's important to you. So what we're going to do is use the old school HTWAB, except we're going to put a modern twist on it so that we can help figure out what exactly we want our topic to be or our subject to be. So let's keep using hockey as our core subject. We'll put that right in the middle. You are a hockey enthusiast. You really love it. You're a player yourself. You want to talk about it. So what is it that you know the most about? We want to break down hockey into all of the different facets that makes it up. So we can start with passing, shooting, skating, and perhaps goaltending. So you know that these are all the different areas of hockey, but you know that what you're really good at is skating. So we come into this and we can break this down now into a few different ideas and start to flush out exactly what it is that we want to illustrate in the book that we're about to write. So we can talk about skating forward. We can talk about skating backward. We can talk about crossovers. We can talk about defensive skating. And we can talk about offensive skating. Now each one of these has some kind of explanation in order to break it down. So we're going to go in a little bit deeper, and let's say we're talking about skating defensively. So are we behind the blue line? And if we are, how do we skate? And as you can see, the further down we go in this web, the more details we start to uncover. And that's the most important part about what you're doing when you're creating your headlines and breaking down your ideas. So each one of these now will become a chapter or a section, and each one of these chapters or sections will have several different bullet points coming off of it, several different ideas, and as you break things down, you'll start to get a better understanding of the depth of your knowledge and what it is that you can actually share with people. And so if you find that in one of these specific areas you can't go deep enough, then maybe we should try and backtrack and go over into a different area and see if we can't break those down into something else, just to get a better idea of how much we understand, what we know about our subject, and what exactly we want to end up sharing with people in the book that we're writing. So now that we understand this, let's dig into the secrets and see how we can take this idea web and build yourself a book out of it.
So you want to write a book? Well, I want to show you how to write a book in 9 simple steps. First things first, I promise to you, I'll show you exactly how to finally write a book about your passion and learn the 3 secrets writers don't share with anyone else, even if you don't know where or how to start or what tools and resources to use. If you stay to the end, I want to give you something. I'm going to give you secret access to a free book that I've written detailing the full process, every single thing that I do when I write books. But before we do that, you know the drill. Turn off the cell phones, get off Facebook, and get ready because I'm about to share some things that are going to change everything for you. If you're a person with a passion and an inclination for writing, and you're serious about finally learning how to write a book, these next 20 minutes are going to be super important. So, who am I? My name's Devin Jones. I am the founder and creator of Rebel Business. I'm a self-taught business writer, an entrepreneur for over 12 years, and the author of 3 other books, including Business Rebel, A Guide to Starting a Lifestyle Business, Advanced Business Strategies, and the Shine Family Lifestyle Guide. One more thing to add is I am currently a business mentor and consultant to over a dozen different clients who all use my strategies to help them better themselves and their businesses. So where did I come from? Well, here's my story. I used to be a big nerd in high school. I never really had a lot of friends, and I was kind of an outcast. When I got into the real world, I realized that I kind of needed to design a new version of me because the old version from high school wasn't really working. So I spent over a decade reading countless different books and listening to thousands of hours of podcasts and literally taking tens of thousands of dollars worth of courses and training online and offline. Now, back in 2014, following the birth of my son, I tried to help my wife start her first business, an in-home tattoo studio. I know, probably the worst business for a first-timer. I ended up spending our entire life savings, only to find out I really didn't know anything about connecting with people online. I ended up going bankrupt, and I know that's super embarrassing, but it really taught me some serious lessons in life. When it seemed like all hope was lost, I discovered an online training course that literally saved my life. I began to apply the techniques that I was learning to my wife's failing business, and short of literally 2 weeks, I turned the whole ship around. She went from dead to getting 3 or 4 emails from actual customers every single day. Now, despite our successes, shortly after that, my wife divorced me, and I was left with nothing but the empty house we started our family in, and my simple, measly paycheck-to-paycheck life. Square one again. Now, I knew I was capable of more than that, so I was determined to find a way to dig myself out of this cavernous hole that I was in. So it was time I took what I learned and used it for myself, and now I can safely say I'm out of the dark and onto a bright new future. So, for you, imagine what your life would be like when you finally write a book about your passion and learn the secret hacks that writers don't share with anyone else. You never have to worry about not knowing where or how to start and not knowing the right tools and resources ever again. What would life be like when you finally write a book about your passion, even though you're not an English major? How about when you really know how to organize your thoughts so you have a starting point? Would that make a difference for you? Well, take a look at my results. After the 3rd book, a lot of people were asking me for my process, so I decided to break it down and test it out, and guess what happened? I wrote my next book in less than 9 hours. I do need to add, please just understand that my results are not typical, because knowledge without action is like a car with no engine, and a lot of people take training and never actually put it into practice. So if you don't actually take these strategies and apply them, you can't expect any results at all. So make sure you do yourself a favor and actually follow the steps I'm going to share with you. Now, I'm happy to share with you for free exactly what's working for me, but you need to know this is not for the get-rich-quick people, the work-at-home biz-op people, or amateurs. So what we're going to cover here today
is 4 secrets that will help you get your writing started, keep it organized, and finished. Secret number 1 is how you can use a program from elementary school to get you organized. Secret number 2, how to find your author's voice. And secret number 3 is how to tap into your unconscious thinking and creativity so the book basically just flows out of you. And finally, secret number 4 is how to start writing. A lot of people, when faced with such an overwhelming task, usually get bogged up in the details and never actually put pen to paper. So using this system, I want to help you overcome all of those hurdles. So let's start with secret number 1. You can use a program from elementary school to get yourself organized. Most people with a passion and an inclination for writing think they need a special formula to get started. Imagine the book that you're about to write as a puzzle, except somebody's taken all the pieces and scrambled them up all over a table. Now when you first look at it, it looks like it's impossible to put that all back together. But if you sit down, take some time, and sort the pieces into different colors or shapes, you'll realize that this isn't going to be quite as hard as you thought. And that is the key to the first secret. You're going to want to stay very organized as you begin your writing process. The secret to staying organized? Using a program from elementary school to get your thoughts out there. What do I mean? This is exactly what I do every time I want to start writing a new book. I jump on my laptop and I open up PowerPoint. When it opens, I choose a theme template, and then I get inside and I make 3 of my own slide templates. The first one is a title slide, and I use this for sections or for titles for major separations in my book. The second one is headline slides, and I use these ones to break up the chapters or ideas. And then the third one is the content slide, and I use this for bullet points and small explanations to help start to form the backbone for what I'm going to actually put onto paper. And then I create my presentation. I start from the beginning with anything that I can think of related to my subject, and I start writing down the major headlines or chapters. And then inside of those, I break it down just a little bit and throw in a few bullet points for each one so that I know what I need to expand upon. Secret number 2 is how to find your voice. Now, most people think they have to sound like a professional to be able to write about their subject. Actually, studies have shown that when someone is curious about a subject, they'd rather learn about it from a friend or a peer, someone who's kind of equal to them, to save themselves the embarrassment of looking dumb. Remember your first day at your new job, when you didn't really know anybody and you really didn't know what you were doing, but you wanted to still look competent? So the first real friend you make is the person that's training you, and the two of you really connect so that you can finally learn the things that you need so that you can actually be competent at your new job. Well, this is kind of like that, except you're the trainer and anybody that wants to read your book is the trainee. So what does that mean? What you're going to do is use your PowerPoint slideshow to give a mock presentation. It's super important that you say everything out loud so you can develop your author's voice. And when you're talking to a customer voice, you usually sound patronizing and really pitchy, like a bad car salesman. Saying things out loud forces your brain to be accountable for the information you are relaying, allowing you to be more thorough and detailed in your explanations. Now, secret number 3 is how to really tap into your unconscious thinking and creativity, that unknown part of your brain where you finally feel like you're in the zone. Now, a lot of people think that you gotta be gifted as a poet or a writer of some kind to be able to write a book. But actually, everybody's brain has a capability of being creative. Sometimes it just needs the right spark to start that creative fire. There's 2 minutes left in the game, and you're in the huddle during a timeout. Coach glances in your direction and gives you that "we're counting on you" look. So what do? You go deep into your mind and you visualize yourself running across the court with the ball in hand and the final few seconds ticking down on the clock. You jump into the air and release the ball, and right as the buzzer sounds, it sinks through the mesh in the basket. Visualization on the court is just as important as it is when you're writing a book. So when you're creating a slideshow, write headlines that outline the core ideas in your subject on your chapter slides. Use those headlines to find an image on Google that best represents that idea. And then take those images and put them into your PowerPoint presentation to jumpstart your writing. Visuals will help you tap into that deeper level of creative thinking so you can dive deeper into your subject. Having something right there in front of your eyes will allow your mind to begin a visualization process where it puts itself into the environment of whatever it is you're trying to explain. And now you can finally tap into your unconscious creativity. Now that you've broken down your ideas and chapters of your subject, you will start to see something forming. So go over everything, adding whatever you can to your slideshow, so you can confirm that you've covered your subject completely. Read each slide over a few times to make sure the points are clear and concise. If you need more room than the slide allows, break that idea down further. When you're confident your subject is out of your mind and into the presentation, you're ready to start writing. This is the part where all of it comes together. I know, you're probably asking, Devin, why did you make me create a slideshow instead of a book? Well, the answer's simple. So you're totally and absolutely 100% organized. If all of this was on paper or in a notebook, you'd have a hard time checking and double checking things. Imagine having to read 200 pages 100 times just to make sure you've covered your subject. First of all, it would be the worst experience ever, reading the same thing over and over and over and over. Secondly, it would probably kill you just trying to keep it organized. What if you had this all in point form on paper with chicken scratch and sticky notes holding everything together, maybe some tape and staples and a few paper clips? You'd probably want to stop about 2 chapters in and never go back to it. So what do you do with the slideshow you've just created then? Give a presentation. Remember, say it all out loud and talk about your subject. As you're going along, you'll notice that you may or may not have covered everything completely. And that's why it's so important to have this in a slideshow form so that as you read, it actually happens in chronological order or has some sort of organization to it. So now when you're going over everything, you can take notes, make references with the slide notes, and whatever you want to edit and add, and just make sure that nothing's missed. This is another case where saying it out loud forces your brain to make it make sense. Make sense? Well, check this out. Had a hard time reading that, but I bet you still were able to. See, the thing is, our minds don't store information in any specific order. It's not alphabetical or chronological, it's just everywhere. Kind of like that image. Letters and numbers all jumbled about, but you could still make sense of it. It may have been difficult, but that's the kind of thing that your reader will go through if you aren't careful in explaining your subject in your book. Your job as a writer is to make sure you can maintain flow through your subject without losing the reader. Ask yourself as you're giving this presentation, do you understand? Do I understand? Does that make sense? Something you might want to try is having a friend or colleague present to listen. As they're listening to your presentation, they can ask you questions and fill in any holes that they may see. Having a second mind always helps to get things organized. Now, when you've completed your presentation, you can go back to the beginning and start editing it with your notes. Change things, add slides, take some away, do whatever you have to make the presentation complete. And then you only have a couple steps left to complete. Just remember, this part is the funnest part of the whole process, so enjoy it. Make sure you really get creative with the pictures that you use to help your visualization and the language that you choose as you're giving your presentation, because a big part of this is you discovering and developing your voice as an author. Now, when you've done all of your edits, go back and give the presentation, but this time, write it down exactly as you're speaking in a Word document. Me personally, I'd recommend using Microsoft OneNote so it stays in the cloud. With this program, you can literally access it from anywhere in the world, as long as you have an Outlook account or a Hotmail account. And it's free, which is always a bonus. If you have access to the internet or you have your phone, you can open it up and go back into your document and edit and change things or add things as you see fit, which is great because, as we all know, being an entrepreneur is kind of hectic and sometimes difficult to be able to take time away when we are inspired to write. Now, once you've gotten everything written down in your OneNote or Microsoft document, the fun part begins. You can go back and read it, and read it, and read it. And as you're going, just make sure you edit everything for flow, sentence structure, punctuation, all the things that you would naturally assume need to be fixed. And you can use some of the built-in tools with your word processor, like spell check or grammar check, just to make sure that you didn't miss anything yourself. I have a few other apps and programs that you might find interesting or helpful in your process of writing, and I can share them with you a little bit later. So let me ask you a question. Are you enjoying everything so far? Here's what we've covered. Secret 1. You can use a program from elementary school to get yourself organized. Step 2. How to find your voice and create your presentation. Secret number 3. How to tap into your unconscious thinking and creativity. I just wanted to pause real quick to say thanks for sticking with me. Now, I have one more secret I want to share with you, and then it's time for your free gift for joining me. Secret number 4, how to start writing. A lot of people think there needs to be some profound realization to begin the writing process, but in reality, it's just a mental roadblock you put up to avoid the threat of failure. Reality is, most people are just afraid to start because they're afraid of how big the process looks. Imagine you're standing at the top of a mountain, skis strapped to your feet and a gusting wind at your back. If you've never been to the top of a mountain before, you can imagine how daunting that might feel. If someone told you to make your way down on your own, you'd probably be terrified. Unless someone showed you the way. So look over to your side and find a point in the tree line that looks like you can conquer it, and then make your way there. And when you get there, look the other way and find another point that you know you can reach. And before you know it, you're going to reach the bottom. And that's why you just need to organize things and find yourself a jump-off point. So what do I mean, and how does this apply? Well, when you're creating your slideshow, it forces you to break down your subject. As you break it down, using the visual aids and the slide categories to help you keep things organized, your mind's going to find things that can help enhance the information you're trying to get out. Using this system will help you keep those thoughts organized and easy to follow so you don't muck it all up and end up just giving up because it looks and feels just like too much work. No matter when you decide to start and pause your writing, you'll always know exactly where you left off and where to go from there because you keep things very organized using this process. So I can only assume that you're really ready to take things to the next level. If you're ready to start writing right now, and you need an in-depth step-by-step guide that will literally walk you through everything to get you from idea to book, then I have something special for you for sticking around and listening to my breakdown. I want to introduce to you How to Write a Book in 9 Simple Steps, the free ebook. It's all about helping you finally write your book about your passion and learn the secret hacks that writers don't want to share with anyone so you can get the results that I've gotten fast. It's just a reward for those of you who stuck around. So here's how to get secret access to the free book detailing the full process I promised you. To get started now, simply visit www.howtowriteabook.today. Thanks for your time, and I appreciate your interest in my breakdown on how to write a book.
So there it is. That's everything. That's my process from start to finish. I start by writing notes, just kind of vaguely trying to get my whole idea out on paper. And it's usually, 5 to 10 really, really strong points. And then that's when I jump on the computer and I start making my slides. And every slide that I make, I try and have 3 or 4 points for each little bit of it. And then I break things up using the title slides and the headline slides. And I have another book that I wrote that I actually needed sections for because I needed to break every core concept down a little bit more. So once I had everything laid out and all in place, I just basically started talking out loud and just kind of finding the way I wanted to communicate my ideas, and it helped me find all the holes in the presentation. And then I went back and I edited everything, and when I started typing everything out, it was a little bit time consuming doing the typing thing, and I found a hack that's really cool that I really want to show you. If you jump over and get the free book, this is an incredibly powerful tool that you can use for your writing process. And then once it's all out there and it's put on a screen and you can actually see it all, it just feels like this huge milestone or a huge accomplishment that you've finally gotten to, that it just feels incredibly rewarding. And then to take all of that and edit it and really get something finalized and cemented in as far as the whole thing goes, there's a whole nother set of tools there for that as well that I've included in the book. And I got the whole thing put together. The crazy part about this is my mom is an author as well. She does fiction for young adult novels, very much like, I would say, kind of like Harry Potter or that wizard type sci-fi stuff. And when I asked her to take a look at my process, she was astounded to actually see that it was very similar to the things that she's learned, but it was so much easier in the sense that it was very hands-on and it didn't require a lot of just paper and notes and all that kind of stuff. It was very editable and seamless as far as being user-friendly as a process. So she really loves it, and she's endorsing it and telling all of her author friends from her groups and stuff like that to check things out. So it applies from anything from fiction to nonfiction all the way and everything in between. So I'm really excited to finally get a chance to get this out there and share it with you. And I want to be available to answer any questions that you may have. So if you need to get a hold of me for any reason whatsoever, questions, concerns, brainstorming, help with your process, any of that kind of stuff, I'd love to answer any questions you have. My email is devin@businessrebel.ca. You can just send anything my way, and I'll try and get to it as quick as possible. And if you have a chance, jump over to www.howtowriteabook.today and grab the free book. It'll give you everything that you could possibly need to get you from point A to point B, and you'll have a book by the time you're done, I promise. So thanks again. I really hope to hear from you soon.